I'm always struck with this gospel reading of the resurrection of Jesus and this first sight that Mary has of him. She doesn't recognize him. Well, it's not surprising she didn't recognize him. One, her eyes are probably clouded with tears. Two, why would she expect to see him risen from the dead? She was expecting that she would find his body dead in the tomb. He wasn't there, and she didn't know what to do with it. But Jesus calls to her. He calls her by name, Mary. And she turned, and she recognizes him. And Jesus calls us by name. You know, in the baptismal rite, one of the things we ask the parents at the entrance of the church, what name do you give your child? And they say the first and the middle name that they've given for the child. And that's so important because that naming of the child, which we use in baptism, that's the name by which we will be known for all eternity. God will say to you, call you by name and say, arise. We will arise. That he, as we hear in the Old Testament, he says, I have etched your name, I have carved your name onto the palm of my hand. Or in other places, I have called you by name and you are mine. That God knows us intimately, tenderly, passionately. And so often we forget that intimate love of Jesus. But he calls us and he says, I know your struggles, I know your pain, I know your trouble. I know you. As he calls you by name. He calls me by name. May we open our ears to the call of Jesus. May we open our eyes to be able to recognize him calling us from the heart of the Eucharist, saying to us, I want to be so close to you. I want to unite myself to you, body and soul. And may we allow that transforming power and grace to draw us into the very heart of Jesus.